Hey guys, welcome back to Goatman. My name's Joe Barlow, and today I've got another project Deconstruction for you. If you've been following the series so far, then you know I've been watching every single Marvel film and attempting to recreate a visual effect from every single film. This week I watched Civil War, and I'm going to be trying to recreate the scene where Vision walks through a wall using his phasing powers. All these videos can be seen over on my Instagram before I do the project Deconstruction here on YouTube. So if you're not following me there, then do be sure to go ahead and check the link in the description. If you've not seen it though, don't worry, here it is. Okay, so here's the scene we're trying to recreate today. This is of course from Civil War. This is when Vision walks into Wanda's bedroom using the wall rather than the door, spooks everyone out, and then gets told off even though the door was open. So let's go ahead and watch this back at 0.25 speed. If I click the right thing here, take it back a little bit, and let's just break this effect down a little bit more. I don't think I've gone back quite enough there. So we start with a nice clean plate. They've nicely set up this room so Vision's nowhere near anyone and doesn't have to interact. So it's a little bit easier on the VFX team, and we see Vision start to come through. So what we've got is the body, of course, coming through the wall, and then this sort of outline glow around him, and this is sort of his phase effect. You see this when he goes through people, when things phase through him, and any other variety of that happening. A bit more of him has come through the room here. I actually think it fades in slightly. It becomes a bit more solid, especially there you go. So something I copied, as well as all of the glows around the body. This is a really nice sort of blend of him. You really get that depth feel. It's quite hard to get that, really, that sort of chest in first before the back of the chest, and the knees before the rest of the leg, etc. So let's watch it all the way through. A little bit slower there. He actually phases through this little sort of seat thing as well, which I think is quite cool. That's really nice attention to detail there. So let's head over to After Effects and see how I recreated this. Right, so we've got a composition open here, so let's go ahead and take a look. We've got a nice atmospheric room here, some light beams coming in from the left there, some nice dust floating around, and then of course our Vision comes through the wall here, aka me doing my best acting as a robot human thing. So what do we got exactly? We've got our nice clean plate, and then we've got me fading in through the wall, as I mentioned from the breakdown. We got those outlines around us as well. That's meant to represent the actual phasing energy. Different parts come through at different times. We've got the first leg, then the head, then the hand, then the rest of my body passes through afterwards. And I went ahead and threw a Mind Stone on my head as well, just to, you know, add to it a little bit more. So how do we build this? What do we got? How do we start? So there's two things you need when doing any sort of phasing effect or ghost walking through the wall, any sort of thing like that. You need a clean plate, which we've got here, and you need to push yourself up as close to the wall as possible, and then just step away from it, and try and do your best to sort of break down those body parts to pass through. So the leg, the hand, the arm, all coming through differently. You don't want to do it sort of a left to right sort of wipe or sort of simple wipe. You want to pick individual body parts out, and you want to get them so the furthest forward bit of your body, in this case my knee, comes through first, followed by the next bit, the next bit, the next bit, so it actually looks like you're passing through. And the clean plate's pretty important. It's a big part of this, because you're going to need to sort of fade from one to the other. Now, I didn't have a clean plate exactly. Anyway, I've got this weird structural design thing in my apartment where we've got this little gap between the kitchen and sort of the living room. I guess it's so the two rooms join. But I thought I'd use it to my advantage in this video here. So what I did to start with is using After Effects' content aware to sort of fill in that gap, which it did a brilliant job of. There you go. Which gave me a nice clean plate, as well as letting me actually walk through that So if I just go to the pass-through footage here, you can see I'm actually just stepping through that gap. And this really did help in this case, because what it meant is when my knee passed the front of this wall, I knew that that had to come in. I knew that my hand had to come in here, and then my head. And this is kind of hard to judge when you're just sort of pushing yourself up against the wall. What it does as well is it lets me set myself a little further back than what pushing myself up against the wall would have done. So I was pretty grateful for having this. It did cause issues in other places, and maybe I'd have done it slightly differently. I'll get into that later on. But generally it helped out, and I think it really helped sell the effect. It's a bit more impressive when you know that wall isn't solid, that we've managed to clean that up and sort of bring it all in. So how did we build the actual effect though? So let's get rid of some layers here and just start by breaking this down. So of course, the first thing we needed when building this is of course a clean plate and a body. And now the body was shot against, as you saw before, that room. But I did rotoscope it out because I wanted to add effects to it and do all sorts to it. So yeah, I rotoscoped out to start with, and then once I did that, I went ahead and added this sort of fractal thing to it. So this fractal is just set up like this with some roughen edges on and fractal noise, and I've laid this on the rotoscope with a alpha matte there, and that's let me sort of come in almost sort of broken up. I didn't want everything to come in at once. You can also see there's a bunch of masks here. So this is what I was on about. I want the knee to come in first, and then the hand, and then the head, and then the rest of the body. And it's kind of a mess, but when it's all sort of built together there, along with the fractal noises and everything, you can sort of see it come in like so. And that's the base of stepping through the wall. If we add the pass-through and just that alone, I think we've got a pretty viable sort of ghost effect there. And you'll also notice there's a light effect, a light sweep, effect on there. That's coming in at this point as well. I think it's on here. Yeah, we've got this light sweep, and that's just adding a nice edge to us. It's sort of making like this edge is glowing. Bearing in mind, I've also got that window light coming in a bit later on. So I did want this side of my body to be affected by some sort of light. That's where that comes in. Not really important to the effect, but cool either way. So let's talk about this rotoscope very quickly. I mentioned at the start of the video that I probably would have done it differently. I would have probably done this on a green screen or even just on a flat wall, a bit of flat color, because what ended up happening when I was rotoscoping, if I take this away, you see the washing machine here just between my legs, as well as various other bits. The rotoscope was struggling telling the difference between my hand and this cupboard door here. They are similar in color. I thought there'd be enough contrast, enough detail there, but there wasn't. The sort of shadow between my legs and the washing machine there, especially this bit, really struggled there. So yeah, I'd have done it slightly differently. I'd have shot it on a green screen, but we ended up getting a reasonably clean rotoscope. I wasn't completely happy with it by the end of it, but I think we just about managed it. Let's turn everything back on and get back to our original composition. You can see just here, and there's a little bit here as well that I did go and tidy it with a mask. It just couldn't get it. It really did struggle, especially between my fingers as well. But these are the sort of usual problems you get with rotoscoping. Now, although I did end up doing the rotoscope all within After Effects, I do want to give a big shout out at the moment to a program online called RunwayML. That's Runway Machine Learning. And what it does is uses machine learning and AI to effectively rotoscope things for you. This is all in browser. Link will be in the description, but let's just take a quick look at this because I nearly used this for the video. We've got me obviously walking through the wall here, and this is some footage that I did like a little sort of dirty mask around it just to make it easier, less things to cut out. I thought maybe that might help. And now I'm not even joking here, one click and it's going to select me, probably not this arm, yeah, it's going to select me and basically cut me out like a rotoscope what it thinks, and that's all the way through the video. So let's just play this through and just sort of see those results. Not too bad in comparison to what you might get in After Effects itself. Anyone who's ever done any rotoscoping, you'll know it's a little bit temperamental sometimes. It's got ever so slightly better recently, but to sort of get this result on one click is unheard of. Obviously you can see my hands and things are missing there. Later on, as I interact with my Lego treehouse, it just doesn't know what's head, what's tree, or what the hell's going on there. But just by clicking these sort of little bits in, we can add them back into our rotoscope. And here's that washing machine error that we have with both the rotoscope and this program here. But we can go and exclude those as well, and we can add more of these dots and sort of work our way through, as well as refine things with a brush if you want a more sort of perfect look. And as we scrub through, you can add more dots in. So it's lost my hand again here, so we just add it back in. Sorry, I'm still on the brush there. We can add it back in. Oh god. And you get a pretty clean looking rotoscope. I was pretty impressed by this tool. Like I said, I nearly used it. You can export it at 720 with a green screen background, and it might be a good starting point before you clean it up later in After Effects. But I don't think the program's quite there yet, but I'm going to be watching this with a lot of interest, because I can't wait for this to be brilliant. It's going to make things a lot easier in the future. But back over to After Effects. So let's talk more about the sort of effect itself. We've got the passing through the wall, but what we don't have at this point is all the glowy bits around me. Now, I needed it quite specifically around the areas that have already come in. And to achieve this, what I did was just grab the pass through and go ahead and run a auto trace on it. So that's here. And then if we use the alpha and just run it through the entire work area, what you end up with is a bunch of masks cut out to that alpha. Now, I did go ahead and break them down into 3 different bits. But let's just take a quick look at some of those parts. So you can see here, this is the head. We've also got like this arm here, and then the leg as well. So when you run the auto trace, it will all be on one layer. It'll also have all of these keyframes set to toggle hold keyframe. I just switched things up slightly, broke it all apart, changed one mask to one layer and named it accordingly, just so I knew what I was looking at. And what that gave us was a brilliant mask to work from, where we added the saber effect from Video Copilot. I don't know why I've renamed it one there, but it's the saber effect. Changed it to a different setting of Star Killer, changed a couple of bits, and this gives us our nice sort of glowy effect around the edge to make it look like we're actually phasing through the wall. And honestly, this was pretty much the entire effect. The hard work was the rotoscope in this, and then adding this this sort of outline afterwards was fairly simple once we had a nice clean key. The final thing of creating the vision effect is I added in a shadow. This was just a duplication of the pass through. I then added a drop shadow onto this and made it shadow only. Let's turn that on, and that's just to give a little bit of depth against that wall that I'm not actually passing through, just to make it look like something's happening. And because I've used that pass through and that rotoscope, if I'm not there, the shadow's not there. So it matched up perfectly. It's exactly what we wanted. And as I walk through it, there's the shadow. So there we go. That's the entire building of Vision. Of course, I did add that Mind Stone in, as well as just some atmospheric stuff as well, just to build the video a little bit more. But that is basically Vision. I will give you one more look at that effect, and thank you for watching. And that was my attempt at recreating Vision's phasing ability from Civil War. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you want to catch these before I do the project deconstructions, then do be sure to follow me over on my Instagram. And if you're enjoying this series, do be sure to subscribe. Until next time though, thank you and goodbye.